I'm audible, I assume. And I think last time I checked in the mirror, I'm still good looking, right? Cool. So, again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Learning Exchange. We will be sharing a lot of information today, and we will be engaging with you online also and in the room. So before I formally start, let me introduce the team that I will be working with. Mark, next slide. So online, you'll see my face. I'm the program director, Ashley Manuels. Some of the presenters that will be working with us today will be our COO, Letty Marine. She'll come in a bit later. Then we have Diana Mashamaite, who is the program manager. Ntombi Kaise Mukwena, who is our Deputy Chief Education Specialist from GDE, and then also our knowledge manager, Ramadi Meja Pale. We also have some panelists with us from GDE, WordWorks, SDU, Kalelo Consulting, and then obviously our own main man, finance guy, Pirowane Makanyela. Thank you. And then also just to make sure we have things under control, we have our moderator, Ms. Ingrid Harris, that will be checking what's happening in the chat, that will be seeing and making sure that we are on par. Also, colleagues, if you have to ask questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to do that. Ingrid and then also our team inside the room will help us with that. And we have... sorry about that. Yes. We also have a Q&A session at the end where you can also ask your questions should you not have had the opportunity to do so. So again, during the presentation, you're more than welcome to ask questions and engage with the presenters, but we do have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of all that will be said. So formally, Jet Education Services has been in existence for over 31 years. And then one of the activities that we are busy with or that we have installed is a learning exchange, Mark. A JET learning exchange is one of the activities that allows us to share information. But before I jump into your presentation, Major, please tell us, give us information about what the learning exchange is, what JET does, etc. Thank you so much. Over to you, Major.
Thank you, Ashley. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to our very first JET Learning Exchange Live. My name is Neja. I am the Knowledge Manager for JET Education Services, and I'm very excited to have everyone joining us this morning. As part of the Knowledge Management Unit, we coordinate learning exchange to create opportunities for different communities of practices to exchange ideas and share solutions for challenges that we face in the education sector. The Knowledge Management Unit does learning exchange sessions for various programs, including the Gr R Mathematics and Language Improvement Program. This is a space to learn and promote the work that JET does, which positively impacts the educational policies and implementation, not only in South Africa, but also in Africa and internationally. Gr R Mathematics and Language Improvement Program began its initial planning phase in 2016. JET has been involved as the managing agent from 2018. Since then, we have learned about the impact that the program has had in the Gr R classrooms. For this Learning Exchange Live, we will share some of the lessons learned and the experiences that we have gained over the past years of implementation. This program provides just-in training and access to relevant materials for mathematics and home language that enables teachers and practitioners to provide learners with appropriate instruction, preparing them for schooling beyond just Gr R. Additionally, the program aims to build capacity amongst the Gr R departmental head and school management team, enhancing their skills in monitoring and providing support for teachers and practitioners. This also helps improve their skills in curriculum delivery and pedagogy. Okay, more details about the project will be presented by my colleagues that Ashley has mentioned. Please feel free to questions throughout the session. Also engage with the presenters to learn more about the program. Thank you so much, and I hope you're going to enjoy the session.
Wow, thank you so much, Major, for explaining to us what the learning exchange is. Also, colleagues, on the screen, you will see a QR code. We'll also flight the QR code later on. That will take us to the learning exchange. Now, as Major mentioned, this is the fifth paper-based edition, but it's the first live of the learning exchange, and we are very excited to have you with us today. So, in terms of the Grade R Maths and Language Improvement Program, there must be some sort of overview or why and how we got to the Gr R MLIP. Now you'll hear that we'll use some acronyms and all of that. So I hope you're taking notes. And also again, please don't forget to ask questions in the chat. So on the next slide, we'll show you the overview and what that is all about. I need to find out, why was there a need for the program? How did we come about that? And how did we address the need? So with me, I have my colleague, Daphne from GDE, that will be taking us through the research findings, the GDE strategic goal, as well as give us some background on the particular program. Daphne, please explain to us how we got to this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Ntombigaise Daphne Mukwena. I'm a Deputy Chief Education Specialist in ECD, responsible for curriculum. Now, colleagues, there was a need, as we all know, that the aim of the nation is to make sure that we have the children that are thriving by 5. Now, as GDE, as we had to take over, the children that we will be saying they need to be thriving by age 5. Now, we needed to do some of the improvement in terms of making sure that children are improving, children are able to read, children are able to count in terms of improving their early literacy and early numeracy. Now, as GDE, we saw the need that we needed to empower and capacitate the Grade R practitioners in improving the teaching practices so that they can be able to have a solid foundation in the early literacy and early numeracy. We all know that there are many researches, there are many studies that are indicating that most of the learners, if they do not are able to read by the time they get to grade 1, and also they are not able to read to learn by the time they get to grade 2, meaning that onwards they will be showing us and giving us the challenges in terms of the reading. Therefore, GDE saw the need that given the educators' integral role in ensuring that learners' success during these early years, it is essential that the Grade R teachers have a firm foundation in terms of making sure that they improve on their pedagogy and methodology for teaching the early literacy and early numeracy. Now, colleagues, in Gauteng, we have the strategic goal. The strategic goal that talks about the education roadmap 2019 to 2024 with the 5 strategic goals, wherein the first strategic goal is emphasizing on early childhood development. This strategic goal number 1 has got the 10 pillars. The ECD strategy was then developed to deliver on this strategic goal number 1, which is improving early childhood development and ensuring that there is quality access to ECD program. Therefore, colleagues, this goal was then linked to the general education and training strategy to create a continuum and seamless transition from Grade R to Grade 1 and throughout the entire foundation phase in making sure that these learners, by the time they leave grade R, when they go to grade 1, there is that synergy, there is that transition, seamless transition, where learners will be able to have been familiarized themselves in terms of teaching and learning in a formal way. That's the grade R home language and mathematics improvement program that was introduced to make sure that we realize the strategic goal number 1, to make sure that we provide quality early childhood development. Now, the purpose for this program, the program that we are so fully embracing in Gauteng, we call it Home Language and Mathematics Improvement Program. For this program, its purpose was to ensure that we redress the effects of poverty and reverse the negative trend of educational underachievement by ensuring that we lay the right foundations for learning in the period where children will be able to begin their formal schooling. As we know that before the children begin their formal schooling in grade 1, they should have accessed the quality ECD program in grade R. Now, colleagues, I'm going to be taking through to introduce to you who are the supporting and implementing, who is supporting in Gauteng implementing the program in Gauteng. We have our project steering committee. It consists of the GDE, our funders, the JET Education Services, and the implementing partners. Now, colleagues, you all want to know who are the funders for this program. We have the funders being GEDT, the Next Foundation, and USAID. These are the wonderful funders that have assisted Gauteng in making sure that the program is implemented in a manner that we want it to be implemented, and make sure that we receive the quality teaching practices in our grade R classes. We also have our wonderful managing agent who makes sure that this program does not fail, make sure that this program, reach its desired outcome. The managing agent has always been JET Education Services. And we have, colleagues, our wonderful implementing partners who were so wonderful in making sure that Gauteng become the best, in making sure that we implement the program in the manner that we want it to be implemented, and making sure that by the time this program, we say now the program is now institutionalized in Gauteng, then we can see the results, making sure that our learners are achieving the learning outcomes. We have our implementing partners being the WordWorks, the SDU at UCT, and Kelelo Consulting. Thank you. And then, colleagues, the program was designed in such a way that there was an outcome of a commission that the commission was tasked to say that because we have the CPD points that are needs driven, that is why we had to make sure that we come up with a grade R intervention in order to make sure that we redress the imbalances that we have mentioned in the previous slide. The only fully externally evaluated grade R intervention was then, GDE then tasked JET to commission a study where they then went to Western Cape and said, we want something that is going to work for Gauteng to make sure that they improve they improve the home language and the mathematics. The commission that was tasked, and the colleagues went to Western Cape and they saw a program. Then they said, let's bring this program to Gauteng and see how best it can be able to be utilized in Gauteng. But colleagues, as Gauteng did not take everything as is from Western Cape, we then said, as Gauteng, we're gonna customize and make sure that the program, it speaks to the Gauteng needs. It serves the needs of Gauteng. The next step was to design a similar intervention and adapt the material in the 11 languages, because those are the languages being offered in Gauteng, to make sure that we address all the learners, we reach all the learners in their Africa in their languages. The goal of the program was to make sure that we get the grade R learners to be ready by the time they go to grade 1, to be ready with the literacy, to be ready with the numeracy. Now, there were key considerations that were made. The importance of early literacy and numeracy in grade R. The focus was going to be on literacy and numeracy to make sure that we improve those as early as possible in grade R, so that when the learners, by the time they go to grade 1, we can see that these learners are ready for formal learning. The theory of change that is underpinned by the agreed principles, the principles that were agreed to mention some of them, the principles were play-based learning. And we also had to consider the just-in-time training. Our colleagues had a lot of training sessions. You know, they went on the training sessions each and every month. Our trainers were trained, you know, each and every quarter to make sure that by the time they go to the trainings, they train the practitioners to go and be able to implement. The training approach the program took an approach of just-in-time training, meaning they were supposed to be trained on a monthly basis to go and implement and come back, reflect, and do the training for the next content so that they can be able to implement. So there were a lot of trainings that were conducted to make sure that our practitioners, our teachers are ready, you know, are being developed in such a manner that they'll be able to teach.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now that we know why the need for the program was there, we need to find out how we are addressing that. And my colleague Dinah will be telling us more about the theory of change, also the principles underpinning the theory of change, and then some background on the implementation of the program. Over to you, Dinah. Thank you. We can't hear you, Dinah.
For that.
There we go.
Oh, sorry for that, colleagues. Thank you, Ashley. Before I go into the theory of change, I think my colleague forgot to mention the funders, Maitri Trust. They do not want to, they have got their own policy regarding visibility. So they are one of our funders in this project. So when the project was decided, there was a well thought of theory of change that looked at the strategic goal of GDE. The first thing after looking at the outcome of the commission task was to believe that if we use the materials that were developed in the Western Cape and translate them into all the languages used in the Gauteng Province, the 11 languages, and ensure that these materials are quality assured by GDE and also signed off by GDE before printing. And then we print these materials and we distribute these materials to all the teachers and the trainers. Then we'll be sure that our teachers in grade R classes will have adequate and relevant resources that they can use to change the classroom situations. So our theory of change doesn't end there. So after the materials have been developed, we believe that if we train our trainers, who are the subject advisors and the other identified departmental officials, if we train them on the use of these materials that are mainly on storytelling and play-based approaches, then these trainers will be empowered, will be skilled, will be motivated to train and support the grade R teachers. And once they do that, the grade R teachers will also feel the same way to implement what they have learned from the training and therefore be able to change the classroom situation. But before we get to the actual training of the teachers, we believe that because the grade R teachers have got their line managers who are the foundation phase departmental heads, we believe that if these subject advisors or these trainers who have been trained first have information sessions quarterly with the foundation phase departmental heads with the intention of sharing with them the content that is going to be offered for that training period, then the departmental heads for foundation phase will be aware of the content that is going to be presented to their grade R teachers, and that will empower them and enable them to have the confidence to monitor what they will be doing in the classroom when they come back from the training, and most importantly, to also support them. And once that has been done, we believe that it is then that the training of teachers, grade R teachers, can happen. And then we believe that if those grade R teachers are trained on how to use those materials that are provided to them, which are also story-focused and play-based, then these grade R teachers will also be skilled and empowered to go back to their classrooms and implement what they have learned to change the classroom situations. So we believe that if the grade R teachers implement what they have learned from the classrooms, then the grade R learners, the way they have been learning before, will change. And as such, they will be ready for grade 1 work. And throughout this, throughout, we believe that there has to be internal monitoring and external evaluation that has to be conducted. And the results of what is happening or what has happened during monitoring and external evaluation is what we'll share with you later. For now, we just wanted you to understand the project. For this theory of change to be successful, I think you should go back, Mark, to the same slide. I think for this theory of change to be successful, there are key principles that underpin the success of this theory of change. That the design of this program should be based on externally evaluated projects, which Ntombikaise has spoken about. And there has to be embedding of the project throughout the design of the project and throughout the implementation of the project. That embedding involved working closely with GDE from the initial design of the project. I think I'm still on the same slide, Mark. So the other thing is that what could make this project a success is that there had to be resourcing of the project, not only from the funder groups, but also from GDE, where GDE also has to make a contribution. And also, what is more important is that there had to be human resources, like you have had in the theory of change, where we have the subject advisors as trainers. And monitoring and support is also a key principle that we thought should underpin the success of this theory of change. And the other thing that can create excitement in the teachers is that they have to be incentivized through a program through a program that is SACE endorsed. And when all these things are happening, we believe that they planted a seed for sustainability of the project beyond its lifespan. So those are the principles underlying the success of the theory of change. And then when it goes to implementation, it is actually all those items that I was talking about under the theory of change, where I'm now going to share with you how we did the material adaptation, the training of trainers, the information sessions, and the training of grade Rs. Then that we can move to the next slide, Mark. Okay. When materials were developed, we had a working group that worked closely with the implementing partners. For home languages, we worked closely with, worked closely with GD officials that were identified by GDE to go through the process of adaptation of the materials, where there was quality assurance of the materials throughout the process until they were finally signed off by the director for ECD. And then after the sign off, we had the confidence that we can now print the materials and have them distributed to all the people who have to get the materials. And then from there, we went ahead with the training. there was preparation training that was done by our implementing partners before they could come down in the province to train the trainers. And then after training of the trainers, there would be foundation phase departmental-led information sessions that were held quarterly. And then that would be followed by monthly teacher, Gr R teacher training. And then after each monthly teacher training, there would be classroom implementation. And when they go back to the next training session, they would start with reflection of what actually were the experiences of implementing what they have learned from the previous workshop. And then the content of the workshop will flow from that. So that is how we applied the theory of change. And some of the things we're cutting across, like embedding and internal monitoring and external evaluation, were also happening during the implementation process. I think I've shared with you how we were implementing, as well as the theory of change. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Much appreciated. So now that we have the background and how we have implemented so far, and as Major mentioned also that we have been in this program for quite some time now, there must have been some stories that was shared amongst the trainers, the teachers, and even some of the learners. I'm going to ask Ntombi just to share some of the successes or the feedback that we have had from the trainers and the teachers also. Thank you, Ntombi.
Thank you, Chair. And now, colleagues, in terms of the success, the feedback, that we were receiving from the teachers, from the practitioners, as they were implementing the program in their classes, they were so excited. Most of them were saying, the program is so structured, the content is structured now, is giving them the direction in terms of what is it that they need to be teaching. The content is so rich. Teaching strategies, it allows them to be able to learn how to conduct the teaching and learning in the classroom. And they were saying, most of them were saying, it has also improved their teaching methodologies. Because, colleagues, we all know that when Gr R started, most of our human resource, our teachers in the Gr R classes, most of them were not qualified. As even at this stage, we still have some of them that are not yet qualified. So they had to learn on the go. As they were teaching in the classroom, they were starting to, to acquire qualifications. And most of them, as we know that most of the teacher colleges have been closed, did not go to the teacher colleges where they could learn the teaching practices. So they were learning in the classrooms. And now the program was assisting them to be able to learn those teaching methodologies. Please go back, Mark, again. I'm at the plan. From my side. Okay, thank you. And then, colleagues, they were saying, because of the resources that they are receiving from the program, now they're saying that their classroom are now well-resourced, irrespective of where the school is, irrespective of the status of the school. If maybe the school is quintile 1 or a school is quintile 4, all of them receive the same resources, and their classrooms are now looking also beautiful, and they know that for all the learners that are using the same resources, meaning each and every child will be coming out of a Gr R class in Gauteng, going to grade 1, they would have accessed the same quality of teaching and learning. They have received the training on how to use and utilize those resources during the teaching and learning as they implement the program. And they are saying that because the program is play-based teaching, it allows the learners to be able to learn because now they enjoy. And they were saying that the program has also assisted them to improve on the classroom management because of how the program structures. It has got a rotational, where the teachers will be able to be dealing with the focus and side activities with the learners in the classroom. Thank you. And then for the learners, colleagues shared and said, as they were implementing the program, now they could see that most of the learners, all the learners are actively involved, even those that are shy. They say the program, because it's play-based, you know, even the level of absenteeism have reduced, because now learners are looking forward to go to the school to play, because now they don't know, they are not aware that they are learning, but because the learning is conducted through play, they enjoy it, they're looking forward to coming to school. Because the program is story-based approach, it has improved the learners' reasoning skills, because now most of the learners are able to tell, you know, the stories, they're able to create their own stories, they're able to imagine, you know, to think through and say, what is it that is going to happen? Because now the approach is story-based. And colleagues, I'm also pleased to share with you some of the quotes from our Grade R teacher. Some of the colleagues were saying, learners can now identify the sounds, they enjoy the story time and role play. The Grade R classes have changed and more learners enjoy the activities. They have improved. They can read and write better than in the previous years. The program is learner-centered. Learners feel freely to participate, and even those who are shy, they role play, they take turns, and they play games voluntarily. The little ones are happy with the routine of the program. They know the whole class and group activities, because colleagues, we all know that the routine gives children that sense of confidence, knowing what is it that needs to happen, what is it that needs to follow now. The program instilled the skills that are required in the early childhood development. It is easy to catch up. Thank you, colleagues. We are really in Gauteng, are enjoying the program, and we can see, you know, it is, you know, there's a lot that has improved, learner achievement, you know, teacher confidence. You know, we really are embracing the program. It is giving us the desired outcomes that we wanted to see, even if we are still implementing the program, because this year we are in the second phase now, implementing mathematics. We started by implementing home language in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so hard for me to, and having taken the steering committee to some of the classes, I feel like I should go back to grade 1 actually myself, or grade R. Those little ones are just, I don't know if it's the energy of the program or the program themselves or them themselves, but they have enjoyed themselves. What we saw in the classrooms that we visited. So on the screen, you'll see Ali and the Paint. That is one of the stories. Actually, to be honest with you, that's one of my favorite stories, because it teaches us to either share, or it teaches you to not take stuff that's not yours, and it teaches you primary colors, and there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from this particular story. But there are quite a number of stories. In fact, there are 19 stories in the home language, and then maths is on a different level. So for now, I'm just going to show you this particular one, and then I'm going to jump over to some of the other activities that we are busy with in the program. Ali and the Paint, we have the material available on the Clearinghouse. I'll explain to you a little bit later, but for now you can find all of this on our Clearinghouse open source material. But as I said, I'll explain to you a little bit later. Moving swiftly along. So in terms of the program implementation, there must have been some challenges and mitigating factors that we implemented. I mean, we've been in the program for quite some time. So I'm going to ask the program manager, Dinah, just to speak on the challenges and mitigations and some of the lessons that we have learned during the program. Dinah.
Thank you, Ashley. Mark, can we move to the slide? Next slide. Thank you. As you have already learned, this program is comprising of a number of stakeholders with different expectations. So, you know, where there are many stakeholders with different expectations, there would always be some sort of conflicts here and there. But with this project, we made sure that from the initial design of the project, we have the agreements signed, and to ensure that there is effective and strengthened communication, we set up project management structures, a number of them, each one with its own specific objectives. And the overall structure was the project steering committee, which all structures, the main structure, which is the design and planning working group, reports to. So that's how we have dealt with addressing the different needs of the stakeholders. And that made us work harmoniously through the implementation of the project. The other factor that contributed as a challenge, we all know about the situation in 2020, I think it's 2021, 2020, where we had COVID. It nearly derailed us a lot, but because of what I've already explained above, this was mitigated by changing the training model, and resources were reallocated, and then the project ended up being extended by a year. And this was made possible by making sure that all the stakeholders understand each other and there is strengthened communication. And one other thing that also posed as an initial challenge as we were designing, as we were in consultation during the initial design of the project, was the cost of using external trainers. This was going to be a cost driver, but because we involved GDE from the onset, the decision was to use their subject advisors as trainers. And this also was a challenge also because they did not have enough subject advisors who could make sure that we had a ratio of not more than 1:30. So through consultation internally from the side of GDE, they also made sure that they come up with plan B of sourcing additional trainers from within GDE. And that has worked well to the extent that our ratio of trainers to teachers was not more than 1:30. And the other key thing, which I think was a challenge, which from us was very not that significant, is that in most of the projects, you find that you do not always have the departmental officials when you need them, even if you have a schedule of activities where they have to integrate it with their plan. But with us, this was not that serious, but we are just sharing it with you so that you are aware of how we mitigated this. So the fact that we have involved the GDE officials from the onset really made it a point that we do not have this challenge. But like I'm saying, we are just putting it here so that you are aware of how we dealt with the situation. So our departmental officials, colleagues, have been available 24/7. And that is what made this project a success up to so far. And the other thing that is worth sharing is that our workshops for the trainers and for the teachers are held on Saturdays. For the trainers is because we had to outsource some of the departmental officials who are not fully responsible for Grade R. So that during the week they can accommodate their usual programs. And then for the Grade R teachers, the use of Saturdays was because we did not want the Grade R classes to be left unattended. So we ended up having our trainings on Saturdays. So the challenge here was that the challenge here was that we did not have 100% attendance, overall 100% attendance, even though at some venues, in some rooms, there would be 100% attendance, but generally the overall attendance would not be 100% because of those reasons. And because of other factors such as their family commitments, funeral things, and in some cases, there would be clashes with the exam and other programs that the teachers have been registered with. So as a strategy to deal with this, we have visual support, and this visual support came up through this ongoing communication with all our stakeholders, the implementing partners, WordWorks, SDU, and GDE. We came up with this idea of having virtual online support, which is voluntary, but in most cases, the attendance for the trainers would be very impressive, even for the teachers in some cases. In addition to that, GDE would organize dry runs to cater for the trainers who miss the sessions, the Saturday sessions. And before each teacher workshop, our implementing partners have organized 2-hour weekly sessions to also cater for those who missed the training of trainer sessions. So generally, we can say on the actual Saturdays, we wouldn't have 100%, but there are strategies that are put in place to ensure that everybody who has to train the teachers ends up being ready for the training of the teachers. So for those who were not able to meet the 80% threshold attendance, we have organized mop-up sessions, which will be starting from next year. So these are some of the challenges that we thought we could share with you as things that enable us to be where we are at this point. So we can go to lessons learned. For us to be able to be where we are in terms of the achievements we have been made, in terms of stakeholder management, our open-mindedness has helped us a lot, because through that, we learned from each other. And through that, we were able to share a common goal. And throughout communication, it's key. So that was very useful. So the external factors, what we have learned from the external factors is that as we work as a unity, as stakeholders, we are able to deal with challenges such as external factors. We were able to be flexible, and then the communication that was ongoing also helped us. There has been ongoing transparency, and this also created space for support. We support each other. Even the project steering committee supports us where we feel that this is really a challenge for us. Even though we have made a recommendation, the project steering committee would support us. And then this also facilitates Tamia's decision-making because of the transparency, and there are no major delays when decisions have to be taken. I have already spoken about the involvement of the GDE from the initial design of the project. They are 100% available, and this is something that has made us realize that there has been no competition between the different stakeholders, because we're working in one direction and towards the same goal. And this has enabled us to invest a lot in making sure that we also support systemic changes. And then the other thing is that this thing is blocking me now. I don't see. Okay. The other thing is project resourcing, which is something that really it's a lesson for us, that if we want a project to be successful, the resourcing should not only come from the funders. GDE has also made a contribution, a lot of contribution, and this has resulted in owning the project and being accountable. And this has paved the way for embedding and sustainability steps. So, for an example, when we had attendance problems in one group, the GDE was able to hold the targeted group accountable, and that we saw that leading to an improvement in attendance. And I've already spoken about the use of GDE officials. So this is a lesson that if we use the GDE officials, this serves as a step or initial step towards internal capacity building and as a step for sustainability beyond the lifespan of the project. So these are some of the lessons that we have learned from the project. And we work as a team as the project, and that is one other lesson learned. And even if we have differences, we are able to resolve them because of the transparency that is existing within the team. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley?
Most of the, sorry, first I unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dinah. We have gone through most of the presentation, and it has been such an enlightening even process that we have a question and a comment on the chat. So Moni says, good morning, my name is Moni, Maths FB from, oopsie. Yeah. Foundation Phase SES in Northwest. Whoa, I'm so thrilled to be part of this crucial meeting. Can I be linked so that I can also share with my colleagues? Of course, Moni, we will definitely share besides the presentation, I'll also share the link to the clearinghouse where you can get the material. And if you need any other information, we are there to assist. We have the program manager, Ms. Dinah, and we also have the program director, Ms. Natalie, that can always and also assist you. James is saying the involvement of the GDE and direct alignment with the GDE strategy has really been key in this program. The DDG and the officials played an important role to keep the work on track. Dinah has mentioned this before. I am mentioning it. Everybody will mention it. GDE has been such an integral part of this program because not just because we're implementing it in the province, but because they see value in this program. And I must admit, it's the first time that I have direct access to a DDG. So she's just a WhatsApp away, and I'm so thrilled to be working with her, Advocate Alison Bengtson, and her team and everybody else that is involved in this program. Let me check quickly what Ntombikaisa says. Through James, we were fully supported by our principals, not from the distance, but they are with us throughout the implementation of the program. We are very grateful as ECD curriculum under the leadership of Director Pumelele Tlobatla. When I think about Pume, I just smile. Pume is just, if she sees something, it must be done. And you can do it, do it. Why wait? And this is the same with all of our officials, all of the officials from GDE. If there's something to be done, even the teacher development unit guys, if it needs to be done, it gets done. So now that we have gone through the chat, just remember, colleagues, you can also post questions and comments in the chat as we have done so. So now that we know what the program is all about, we've heard why and how, we need to make sure that we take this further. Now, the process of embedding and sustainability is ongoing. We have started with a process, but we are still ongoing. And in that, we have our program director, Ms. Natalie Vereen, that will be taking us through embedding sustainability and also the replication of the program. But before she comes in, I would like to mention that we were at the Litasa conference earlier this year, and it was well received by all of the colleagues there. And we've had some follow-ups, and I'm very, very excited. We can't say much yet, but we are very happy about what happened there with our colleagues from WordWorks, of course, and we will definitely be looking into the possibilities of taking this program further. Now, as I said, embedding sustainability and replication is ongoing. If you would like to get involved, and also if you click on the QR code, there is a call to action. Ms. Natalie Vereen's details are there, and at the end of the program, I'll also give you the QR code. You can check that Dinah's email is also there. So get in touch with us. We are very agile. Gugu is asking in the chat, great project and well done to all the partners in this project. Great insights too. Question, were the teachers paid or subsidized for attending training on Saturdays? I am going to ask my colleague Dinah to answer that question for us, please, Dinah, if you can, before we hand over to Natalie.
Thank you, Ashley. Actually, the teachers were not paid.
Dinah, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me. I've unmuted. You can't hear me still?
No, we
We
can.
hear, Ashley. We
I can
hear.
hear.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Yes,
colleagues?
ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
thank
we
you.
can.
We can, Dinah.
I was saying the teachers were not paid for attending the workshops on Saturday. So one thing that I did not mention is that the training schedule was designed or was worked out together with GDE based on their annual plans, and they decided on the dates, and they had to take the dates to the Provincial Education Labor Relations Council, the Provincial Education Labor Relations Council, ELRC. I think I'm calling it correctly. So that's where the training schedule was approved. So we did not have a problem of having teachers on Saturday for them to be, yeah, I think you get my point. Teachers were not paid. But if you want to know more about the trainers, I think Tombikazi can come in on that one.
Tombikazi, do you want to extend?
I hope I've answered your question, even though I've taken too long.
Yes, Chair. Can I go ahead? Yes, our subject advisors, our district subject advisors, because the DDG wanted the program to be, fully institutionalized or embedded in the ECD foundation phase. Because remember, colleagues, not so long, grade R form part of foundation phase. So in the coming near future, grade R will be fully in the foundation phase. Therefore, the DTG advised us that in order for the program to be sustained, we needed to bring on board, to bring on board this ECD foundation phase subject advisors, meaning the subject advisors from grade R to grade 3 to become the trainers. But because remember, colleagues, they were giving up their family time, their time throughout to train the practitioners each and every Sunday of one Saturday each and every month. So they needed to DDG advised that let's compensate the subject advisors, to say we just compensating them and encourage them because they have now given up their time. I'm sure, colleagues, you might know that it's not easy to get a person to be a trainer each and every month. So that was not necessarily a pay; it was a motivational compensation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tombikazi. Colleagues, this coming Saturday is the last day that we will be having training for maths this year. Unfortunately, I wanted to invite all of you to come and just observe, but unfortunately, if you can make it, please come through. We have 15 centers around the Gauteng Province, but the teachers are so much engaging in this program. They bring their resources, their own resources, plus the resources that they get from the program. They have those little boxes, those plastic boxes, and they cover their books with, what's that plastic thingy, film, to prolong the material. It is just an amazing sight. Yes, laminating also the material. It is just an awesome sight to see how the program has been absorbed by all of the teachers, not just the subject advisors. So as I said, we need to look at prolonging or sustaining this program. So I'm going to ask again my colleague Natalie to talk to us about embedding of the program, sustainability and replication, and also some of the next steps that we will be taking on how to make sure this program is taken up. Thank you, Natalie.
Good morning, everybody, and apologies for being slightly late, but thanks to the team for starting this. So my name is Natalie Vereen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for JET, and I've been working closely with all of the stakeholders, especially Ashley and Dinah, on this program. Now, for any funder, for any contributor to anything that is worthwhile, you want to have a level of sustainability. You want to have good visibility around what you do, and you actually want longevity. around this investment. And what we're doing much better in the development sector is that we are starting to think about these matters as we design and develop programs, and not in the last year when we're looking at setting up the final audits and conducting the final evaluations. And kudos to our funder group that's been mentioned. They've also made sure that they appoint an independent evaluator that you've met already, Kalelo, that is also with us here. And importantly, the GDE, because they're the champions of this program, they've asked for this program, they've been invested in the design, the inception, and the rollout of this program. So for this Gr R program, the building blocks have been stacked from day one, if you can do it, if you can put it that way. So we are in quite a fortunate position when we talk about embedding and about longevity. For this program. This program, as Ashley and Diana would have told you, came about when the GDE was ready to roll out and focus on Gr R as part of the responsibilities. And because it was a key priority area, they could also put forward funding, not in kind, but hardcore cash. And that is critically important in the development sector. They didn't come and said, we'll do the printing and we'll send out our staff to just do this. They contributed hardcore cash, okay? And this is something that is really significant when we speak about embedding. Embedding has got to do with partnerships, who you work with, how you choose those partners. And there's a constant debate in the development sector globally and locally around the power shifts when you talk about development, who funds what. This is a balanced relationship where government said we are invested in this program with our partners, and that is something really significant. Now, in terms of how the program was developed, the GDE has always said that they will cover the trainers. Now, this program design is premised on a training of trainers modality. So the training capacity and capability sits with the GDE. So it means that they already invested. If the program funders today says we'd put everything on hold, the GDE with the trainers, that is part of the structure, they will be able to continue with this work. Okay, so there's a high level of ownership, and from the beginning, the GDE also made it quite visible that they are the champions of this program. They own this program, and the team have already spoken about how the repository, where the materials are situated. It's situated on the platforms of the GDE. It's entrenched at school level. And in terms of holding the economic, education sector, the school environment accountable, that is also sitting with the GDE. So in terms of embedding this as an intervention, as the program of government, it has been happening over years, not since 2023, not since 2022, from basically 2020, 2021, when this program was kicked off. Now, whenever you work with partnerships that come with additional money, of course, it comes with luxuries about doing extras, okay? If as JET, the managing agent for this program, we facilitate discussions. So GDE and Matrix Trust or Xenex Foundation or the USAID almost never have to get in each other's hair, almost never have to claw into how come this can't work, whatever the case might be. So the luxury is having to afford a middleman or an intermediary such as JET Education. So that is also then important to think through when you think about programming. Where is it that you invest your value addition? Okay, so the value addition is that an entity, and it could be any other managing agent, but an agency such as a JET as an intermediary can assist you to set up your professional learning communities, can assist you to deal with your difficult procurement issues. In 2021, Ashley, Diana, and I, we had like a literal complete meltdown and breakdown. And Ashley and Diana were fired, refired. I was fired, refired, because of uh, the printing specifications that we could not really get our heads around, and we had a lot of boo-boos, but a massive learning curve that we will of course also have written up partly, and that will be shared with the GDE as well. But very few stakeholders knew about that mess. It is the funder group we had to trust and say, do you trust us to take that forward? So your value addition needs to be thought through in terms of what is it that you carry as an owner and a champion of a big program that's province-wide, such as this one, and what is it that you outsource to deal with messiness, and what a JET or any other intermediary can do. So you can see Ashley is looking happy, Dinah is looking relaxed, the tension has completely dissipated. At this point, we know we can jump through any hoops, and we can thank our the program steering committee, also the fantastic funder group for being quite gracious to hear us out. Now, sustainability in development is closely linked to affordability. Okay, and I started off by saying a program allows you a number of fantastic luxuries. Okay, so the GDE is at that point of time where they need to basically look at what is the structure of what they actually need to do. Okay, they need to continue with the training of trainers. They need to continue being visible in schools, continue providing learner and teacher support materials. And that's the crux of it. And importantly, they need to continue with assessments. Okay, so most of those they are doing already. So when we get stuck in conversations around Treasury has cut our budgets, we won't have enough money, you need to go back to your core when you need to step out of a program dynamic and step into how you embed it in what you sustain, because you can actually go and select your components of work without having to lose the core and the intent of what you set out to do in the first place. And with embedding and sustainability, it's closely aligned, but sustainability has got to do very much so with your funding envelopes. And of course, that needs to be thinner, and that needs to be much more practical to allow you for all those basic needs. Then in terms of replication, that's not necessarily the case for this program, because it's province-wide and it dealt with the ordinary public schools. Replication here will be applicable in terms of going into the early childhood development centers to make sure that that cohort of practitioners are covered. And then in terms of replication out of the province, a different context would be required in terms of that specific context of moving into other provinces. And in terms of what we're doing currently, there's also, of course, work that goes into how you can replicate the core of what needs to be done into another province, maybe into targeted districts or provincial wide as well. So in terms of JET, the GDE and the funder group, we are more than open and willing and ready as well to share the details around how you can do this, what contextual factors you need to consider, and of course why replication is also highly practical, and the first choice for us where we're sitting from is that all your materials for early maths and for the literacy components, both sets of materials are open source. We have a Creative Commons license that's in place with WordWorks and the UCT School Development Unit. So the open source materials, of course, they available in all 11 languages, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel in terms of reinvesting in versioning, etc. So that's my story in terms of the program. Maybe just a last thing. You can go, Ashley. So I was at a IPASA symposium last week, and I met one of the presenters. His name is Mark. I can't remember his surname, but he's from FUEL. And FUEL works with the Department of Basic Education to improve the nutritional health program, the rollout around that. And he had to come and talk also about systems embedding. And they thought they were going to come in and assist the DBE to get the systems developed, strengthened, to get everything running smoothly. And they gave themselves 5 years. They've been working with the government for 17 years, and they're only looking now at maintenance, moving into a process of maintenance around that. And of course, it's slightly different to this program. But it's linked because what FUEL does is also looking at behavioral change, okay? And that is, of course, important. We know the behaviors of teachers are dynamic, and it's also intuitive because teachers will be happy and excited, and you step out of it for a bit and you go back and they've reverted to the old ways of doing things. And so you constantly have to be going in, doing refreshes, etc. So the point is that we have to work together to make sure that we not in any program for 17 years or outstay our welcome. The issue about mobilizing resources, I've spoken about that you now as a program, you have luxuries around additionalities that help you to leapfrog and to develop faster, to think through faster. You've got the opportunity to be exposed to many more expert advice, many more skills, many more voices to come in and influence and shape and form. And of course, when you need to embed and go solo, you need to basically look at what you have in your ambit of control and your level of affordability as well. Now, the importance around replication and sustainability is that when you know something is worthwhile, something is good, you don't keep it under wraps. You don't want to keep it to yourself. You want to share that. And we need to also look at how do we empower other provinces to have a level of openness to take this type of work on and to consolidate. The Roger Federer Foundation, Karine Foster, she has early in the year launched a mapping document to look at where all the Gr R and some early learning work is happening in South Africa, and including this Gr R program that we're speaking about today. We have about 24, 25 other projects that's happening in the country, okay? So this is one of many others. And of course, the anticipation would be that we get better sight of what are the recommendations, what are the learnings, what are the value additions of those programs, and make sure that in terms of practitioner behavior, teacher behavior, that can be amplified and taken forward. And yeah, I'll leave it at that, Ashley. Any questions maybe? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
I'll unmute.
Thank you so much for that, Natalie. Colleagues, let me tell you, Natalie is like a bullet. She will fly in and she will do with what she must within a short space of time, and impactful also. Hence the comment from Moni. Great presentation, Natalie. Hence I said, can I be linked completely with the stakeholders of the project? Let's join hands to empower us in the Northwest Province. Moni, I will share the details a bit later of both Natalie and Dinah. Please get in touch with us so we can see how we can take this further. We also have a comment from Jane. As the language technical practitioner, it has been a great honor for WordWorks to work with the GDE, JET, and all stakeholders on this project. It has been a hugely positive professional experience to work with the province, donors, and stakeholders, prepared to invest so fully and creatively in the embedding of quality early language and literacy education in Grade R. It has been incredible to be in a true learning partnership where we encouraged and supported to bring resources and training solutions to unanticipated challenges. Grateful thanks to GDE, the donors, and JET for the vision, for SDU and Kalelo for colleagueship, and Dinah and Ashley for holding us. It has been such a beautiful ride, Jane. We are grateful to be working with you. Then we have Precious saying, good morning, my name is Precious. She's from Limpopo Province and also want to be trained on this program because from the presenters, I'm assured that lessons are very fun and enjoyable for learners. As I said, I myself am wanting to go back to Grade R just because of this program. So definitely, Precious, this is a very, very great program. And colorful also. Next slide. So, as I said earlier on, the QR code is available. If you can, quickly scan or even take the bit.ly, the link there and just jot it down. It will take you to the learning exchange document that I mentioned earlier on. Now, Tolisa is also on the call, will now ask, why did we use that photo? It is such a beautiful moment between herself and the learner when we did the site visits, where she actually engaged with one of the learners. And we thought that that is a very powerful picture to put on the cover. Tolisa, you still look beautiful wherever you are. Also, colleagues, the JET Exchange is a snapshot of what we are doing. It does give a lot of detail, but also a snapshot. So hence I'm encouraging you to get involved with Dinah and Natalie. Also, in the exchange, you will see our infographic, and it will show you and tell you how we got to where we are today. Next slide, please. So, like I said earlier on, for more information, email Dinah, who is the program manager. You can also go to our website and then look for the tab that talks about the clearinghouse. We have material there that's open source. We have a Creative Commons license, like Natalie said before. So you're more than welcome to download the material there, but credit is needed to whoever and wherever you are using it. I am very happy to announce that there was a technical team behind the scenes. My colleagues Zuki, Mark, and Percy, thank you so much for behind the scenes, the technicalities, and also answering my WhatsApps while we are busy. And then Tsakani, Ingrid, and Shalene, when we did the presentation, you guys were very integral in this process. So whether you are here or you will see the recording, thank you so much for your input there. But the biggest thank you is going to the next slide. Those are our funders, our implementing partners, namely USAID, the Xenix Foundation, GEDT, which is the Gauteng Education Development Trust. our implementing partners, WordWorks and the Schools Development Unit at the University of Cape Town, and then our independent evaluator, Kalelo, who's also in the room, represented by Prof. Nikki and Dr. Stacy. They're also in the room, just in case, you know, they have to make sure, monitoring and evaluating that we are presenting correctly. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, colleagues. And then I have Peter and Ntomikaise from GDE in the room. So, colleagues, as I said before, this is a program that is extremely close to my heart. Some of you, and I'm bragging right now, some of you might have seen Malume Ash on TV, that's me. And I don't see myself as a star, but I see everybody involved in this program as stars in their rightful places. So everybody involved, from our CEO, COO, Dinah, everyone else from JET, thank you so much for making sure that this program is managed properly. To our implementing partners, WordWorks and SDU, thank you for being there. Funders, USAID, Zenex, GDT, and Maitri Trust, thank you so much. And then obviously to our independent evaluators, Kalelo, for making sure that we are not judge and jury, but you guys help us to stay on the right path. Again, colleagues, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be online for the next 1 minute. So if you need to ask any questions, we are there. We have our panel also available from GDE, sorry, from WordWorks, from SDU, and also from Kalelo, should you have any other questions. Absolutely, Catherine. Okay, Catherine. Okay. Thank you again from my side. Can I ask our program manager if you have any last words, ma'am? Dinah?
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you, colleagues. We really appreciate the fact that you have made time to come and join this learning exchange so that we can share with you what we have been doing in the Gr R project. And we appreciate the feedback that has been provided on the chat. As Natalie indicated, we would really like to see other learners in other provinces benefiting from this intervention also. So as we work together in this sector, let us look at how we can also make sure that these good lessons that we have shared with you are also exposed to other children in other deserving areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dinah. Dinah doesn't talk a lot.
Maybe actually just to thank the team behind this.
Dinah doesn't talk a lot, but she's very impactful, colleagues. I would like to open questions to the room. I see that Prof. Nikki, your hand was up. You may go ahead.
Thanks, colleagues. I just want to be clear that I'm not going to say this is all lies. As the independent evaluator, we can confirm that this is, I think, a fantastic example of philanthropic and public partnership, which sets up for province-wide engagement. We were involved in the evaluation with JET of the Western Cape Department intervention. There are peer-reviewed articles that demonstrate that not only was this feel good in terms of the kind of qualitative feedback that we've got from role players today, but that it's also having an impact on the key things that we come in to look at, which is, are the kids learning? We've been doing assessments with them in literacy and with mathematics appropriate for their age. We have also been testing the teachers and getting feedback from department heads. We aren't able to present those findings today, but I can assure you both the Western Cape and this Gauteng intervention have shown positive improvements. what the Gauteng does that I think is ahead of the Western Cape, so we'll say lift Gauteng up, is this being available in all 11 languages. That has not been an easy undertaking. The Western Cape were in 3 languages. It's been adapted for the Gauteng province and its situation. And for me, this is a gold standard example of how donors interact with project managers, with a province for large-scale rollout. What I do want to say from a research side is that it would have been great to have a staggered rollout. It was something that was constrained by the budget. But from a research perspective, it's really important to have a staggered rollout, to have a good counterfactual. It's the one weakness in terms of the design, in that it's not a randomized controlled trial because you're reaching the whole province in one go. I do think we need a randomized controlled trial that sits alongside this. So for other provinces that are looking at this, it's a well-researched piece to advance the academic components of it. We need a randomized controlled trial and staggered rollout. But well done to all concerned. We sit on the side, but we are admiring of what's happening here.
Thank you so much, Prof. Nikki. I have another question from Kensani. Kensani, please go ahead.
Thanks, Ashley. I saw in one of the presentation there was implementation of play-based learning. I would like to learn how you are implementing play-based learning, and if there is any measurement that you are using to ensure that that is successful. And if it's not successful, how are you mitigating that? What has also been the impact of play-based learning in Grade R?
Thank you so much for your question, Kensani. Dinah, can I hand over to you? And Thank you, Dinah.
Thank you, Ashley. I think I will respond to some parts of the questions, and then I will hand over to WordWorks and SDU to give the specific details of the actual play-based learning. So from our side as the PMO, the fact that this approach works is based on the feedback that we get from our GDE colleagues and the observations that we made when we do our school-based support visit, which is done once in a year. So from the feedback that we get from the teachers and the SMTs, it shows that there is an observable change that is happening in the classrooms. From the feedback that we get when we monitor training, remember I've indicated that when they go back and implement, as they come back for the next session, they will be reflecting on the experiences as they implement their classroom. They will be reflecting on the classroom experiences. And that's just where we get feedback from the teachers themselves, not through reports, on what actually are the positives that they have gained from the lessons, from the training. So that's how we can confirm that the storytelling approach and the play-based approach, it really works. It's a lot of feedback that we have from the teachers. And one of the feedback that I can tell you, or I can share with you, which we got from the training, which is not recorded here, is that they are able to integrate mathematics, home languages, and life skills through the resources that they are using. And the other thing is that this project has enabled the teachers to think out of the box. The problems that they were experiencing before, they thought that there would be someone who would come and solve them for them. But now they are able to think out of the box and deal with the classroom challenges. And through this feedback, that's where we are able to see that this approach is working. And what is more important is that through these reflection sessions that I held at the workshops, they are also able to learn from each other. One person's challenge is not always solved by the trainer, but is solved by the teachers who have dealt with it, who have experienced it before and addressed the challenge. So for the specifics on how they use the play-based approach and the storytelling, I think I can hand over to our colleagues from WordWorks and SDU to share with you. I hope I've answered you partly, Kensani. So colleagues from WordWorks and SDU, I think you have
Mamuso from WordWorks online and also Tolisa from SDU. Mamuso, you can go first if you're ready.
Sorry, Ashley, it's Kerry speaking. I'm not sure if you can see me.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Sorry, before Kerry comes in, Ashley, I just wanted to indicate that the actual scientific evidence of whether this is working or not will be presented in the next phase by Kelello Consulting. For now, we are just focusing on what we observed as the actual work happening on the ground and the feedback we received. Yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to add. Thank you, Kerry. Sorry for that.
Thank you very much, and hello to everybody here. I'm Kerry from WordWorks, one of the technical partners in this wonderful project that we've been involved in developing for a while now, and really enjoying seeing the fruits of the labor in the classroom. So to come to the question about the play-based learning, the program was developed around 8 sort of key principles of teaching and learning. There's the context principle, activity principle, inclusivity principle, and so on. And one of these principles that we built the program around is the play principle. And the play principle basically tells us that through play, children learn, and it could be through guided play experiences, and it can be through free play experiences. And children learn best in this environment. I think it was mentioned at the beginning of the session where we said, so much of the feedback is coming that, children think they're playing and it's fun and therefore they're learning. And so many of the activities are structured around this. There are 5 main types of play that researchers have found are beneficial to how, the play environment that the children learn in. So some of them are fairly obvious to us. There would be, and these, why I mention these is because many of the activities in the program were built around these. So there's the physical play, which includes fine motor, gross motor type activities and games that to develop that. There's playing with objects where all different types of objects are involved, and a lot of this play also stimulates the children's vocabulary. Because it's in a play environment, their communication comes more freely and easily, the communication between each other and with the teacher and teacher assistants, because they feel like they're in a play setup and that there isn't a risk to them joining in. They can't be right or wrong, and so they feel free to engage. There's also a symbolic play, which is included in some of the activities, and this is where learners use, perhaps they'll use a wooden block as a cell phone, and they'll play that they're speaking to their friends on the cell phone and so on. And where this helps with language and literacy development is that at this stage, learners start through play to understand that the symbolic representation of things, and then that eventually leads also onto the symbolic representation of these shapes that we begin to call letters, and letters that make sounds and so on, or sounds that then look like a letter. So there's a symbolic play, there's the pretend play and the socio-dramatic play, where they are guided through role plays in activities, or else they have a pretend play corner that would be set up with the current sort of themes and story themes set up, so that there's a more free play between children and this incidental use of the vocabulary that is coming in for the 2 weeks across the story program. And then, of course, included also are games with rules. And we know that games with rules then have all kinds of learning for children in terms of socio-development as well. So that is, in a nutshell, really the play-based approach, or the thinking behind inserting as one of the approaches, this play-based approach. I mean, I could go on and on, but I won't. So if there is another question, I am here to if I haven't clarified that properly, then please ask again. Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Kerry. Tolisa, would you like to come in, or are you covered?
Thank you, Ashley. I think Kerry has covered a lot around play-based approach and the principles, because one thing that I want to add is that with the material that was developed for this program, the activities, first of all, the program is CAPS aligned, purely CAPS aligned, and the activities that in these materials are all aligned to the content areas, the maths content areas that we are covering in maths, for example. And the activities are play-based, because in Gr R, learning in any case has to be play-based. It has to be hands-on, it has to be fun. And as Kerry has been saying, that learners, they do learn without knowing that they are learning. But teachers themselves, they really planned for those activities. They know what skills and concepts they are teaching, even though learners themselves they won't get into those details. If I could make an example of activities where I would say, for example, if learners are learning about ordinal numbers during the daily program, at what moment are teachers really teaching learners about first, second, third, and fourth? So they use all those activities, like lining up for toilet routines, lining out to go outside. But at the back of their minds, they know that who's coming first, who's coming second. We know that we are dealing with the ordinal numbers in that context, but learners themselves wouldn't be aware of that. If you go to measurement, for example, where they use their own hands to measure certain objects, use of non-standard units of measurements, that is play-based. They would be measuring, they would be competing, they would be counting how many hands can fit, a certain length that they are asked to measure. So that's fun on their side, but we know for sure that they are dealing with measurements, Okay, so I think Kerry has tried to capture many of the points around play-based approach. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Tolisa. We have a question from, Kensani, you covered, right? Thank you, ma'am. So we have a question from Gugu in the chat. Given the attitude or fear of STEM subjects in the country, to what extent does the program cover the introduction to science concepts in ECD? I'm going to ask program manager, Dinah, to answer that. But Natalie, you can also come in if you want to. Thanks.
Thank you, Ashley.
Go for Dinah.
Thank you, Ashley. I think the example that was provided by Tolisa now has partly answered your question, Gugu. Remember, this is Gr R. We are focusing on Gr R only. We are not focusing on grade 1, 2, and 3. So the content that they offer is based on the content that has to be presented for that particular period. And yeah, I think the example that has been provided by Tolisa can show you where these subjects fit in. But what is important is that the home language of the child should be the language of teaching in grade R. So if in that school, the home language is English, then that is where the English will be offered. If it is Zulu, that is where the learners, everything will be done in Zulu. But the content can cut across the technology-related aspects, the maths-related aspects, just like Tolisa was giving an example in terms of measurement and counting and so on. And I think that lays the foundation for developing the love for these subjects. I think my colleagues from WordWorks and SDU can add if maybe there's more to elaborate on. Thank you.
Before they come in, thank you, Dinah. Natalie, you can go ahead.
Yeah, now aligned with Dinah, I actually want Tulisa to come in because we're dealing with a home language program and also introducing early maths. And Tulisa can maybe talk to the R maths, and if I can ask either Nikki or Stacey to talk a little bit around what they have picked up already, just briefly around the baseline to endline testing for cohort 1, just briefly, just as an appetizer, because we're quite excited about those. But maybe Tulisa, you quickly want to come in there around the early maths. Thanks.
Sorry, Ashley, what is the question? I may not have
Tulisa.
Hi, Ashley. Can you just repeat the question for me?
Tulisa, if you're talking, we can't hear you, my sister.
She wants you to repeat the question for her. Can you hear me, Ashley? Tulisa wants you to repeat the question.
What was the question? Yes, Sister Ina, please.
Google wanted to know where the STEM fits in the ECD training. The STEM is the science, technology, English, and mathematics. She wants to know where does this fit. That's why I was using your example when we were explaining about the measurements, the games that involve measurement. Can you hear me, Tulisa?
I am trying to unmute myself here, Sister Ina. Okay, can Nikki come into that question, Sister Ina?
She wants to know how
yes, I was asking whether Nikki can come and respond to that particular question, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to, Sister Lisa. So to the colleague who's asking about STEM, the South African curriculum makes clear that mathematics and language are priorities in the foundations. So at grade R, it's appropriate to be developing students' home language, which is what this program's doing, and the mathematical concepts that are the foundations for all STEM. I argue that both language and mathematics are necessary for engagement with STEM. And so the program's in line with the South African policy. There isn't a deliberate focus on science, technology, engineering. There is a deliberate focus on mathematics and how that gets applied. And given that it's in a play-based approach, you are experiencing things like water play, things like using sand. So you are dealing with the concepts of quantification and of different attributes that are later kind of dubbed science when you're doing volume and rates and all of that kind of thing. But I think what the program offers is appropriate for certainly for the grade R curriculum as it stands.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kerry, would you like to come in on that, please? Thanks.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you, Prof. Nikki. I think you really did wrap up what I was also going to say. And just to add, that with the stories that that have been selected to be used across the year, they have many themes that are pulled out of them across the year as well. And many of those themes will touch on that very start of the STEM subject ideas. For instance, you know, if there's a story about a family traveling, it brings in transport and just naturally a lot of the STEM related type topics would be woven into the activities and woven in through the themes of the stories, which also reflect the themes that are, or the topics that are suggested for grade R teachers to incorporate in their teaching through the year. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I think Prof also answered Moni's question about any chance to integrate coding and robotics, especially maths. They can use patterns, functions, and algebra content area for coding and robotics. That will be somehow learning through play as indicated. Anything you want to add to that, Prof, or are you okay with the response you've given?
I do want to nip adding coding and robotics into grade R in the bud. Just to be frank, if you can't communicate and you can't do the mathematics, there's no way you're going to be coding. So I really think it's premature to be trying to put that into the curriculum. We've got to get the reading and the mathematics right first. I know that there's a strong push from the DBE around it. Personally, I think it's a distraction from the fundamentals. I was also asked by Natalie to give a teaser. So it is literally going to be a teaser because we would like to present our research in its fullness. There is both qualitative and quantitative data. We have been looking, you know, the theory of change, which Dinah presented, is a long chain of assumptions. You know, if we do this at the provincial level, so that subject advisors are then able to do that, so that grade R teachers have better knowledge. That's the part that we've started to measure from. So we've got measurements on teacher knowledge and feedback on how they've experienced things. We have got quantitative data around testing that was voluntary and agreed to with the unions, which is another big kind of innovation or success of the project, is to get us to be allowed to assess in a low stakes way the teacher knowledge. And then there's another chain, which is how's the teacher teaching in the classroom so that it impacts on learning. And the kinds of timeframes that Natalie gave around fuel are important. Education doesn't change in years, it changes in decades. So what we're really investing in is the teachers in grade R, and knowing that those teachers are actually the most vulnerable in the system. So there was mention of the fact that they aren't all qualified. Many of them are developing. There's significant churn in that there's a lot of turnover. As soon as someone is qualified, they get moved into grade 1, 2, or 3 and on higher salaries. Our fiscus doesn't allow us to pay what we should be paying grade R teachers. So this is an area that requires ongoing maintenance and investment. And my teaser is come to the next session because we will be presenting all of the data, which is more from a kind of an external gaze and looking academically to rigorously get both qualitative and quantitative indicators of the impact of this, the indicators of impact, because you'll also see the theory of change doesn't make significant claims, but we are expecting that teachers are more knowledgeable, more confident, and better able to be working in their classes. In addition to all of the testing and surveys, we've participated in the steering committee processes, so trying to address things as they come up, as we notice them. And then there is a significant qualitative component. So we have had, I think it's 18. How many case studies? Yeah, so 18 schools that we've worked with from the beginning, tracking them with the engagement in the literacy, then into the maths and revisiting the literacy as we go along. So they're really nice, detailed case studies in Sesotho and isiZulu. So come back. my teaser.
I just love those little teasers. I've seen a prelim of the M&E findings, and I'm excited, but we will definitely share this in our second session. We are just dangling the carrot in front of you, colleagues, so that you come back for our second session. But Precious, you can also go ahead with your question quickly.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. I asked earlier in the chat box that is it possible that I can get the same training? I'm asking this because I am an acting departmental head for my phase and foundation phase. So I have two educators actually who are teaching grade R, and one of them is an ECD practitioner, and the other one was just recently absorbed as an educator. Like Prof. Nikki has already alluded that some of them, the curriculum is a bit heavy for them. So I want to be able to find a way to support them. So hence I'm coming through to say that is it possible that I can also be capacitated so that I can be able to be effective as well? Because as I've seen throughout this presentation and all the information that has been shared, that it is very interesting and learners can be able to be developed effectively and it can somehow impact the community, because I come from a very, very, very rural area. It's a deep rural area. So I feel like such an initiative can be a turnaround for the learners as well and educators as well. So I don't know if I can be assisted, because really I am eager to learn. I want to support my teachers as well. I want to be an element of change within the school.
Thank you for the question, Precious. I'm going to ask Natalie to give a reply on that one. Thank you.
Hi, Precious, and thanks for being also excited and enthused by what you can do. So let's talk offline a bit further. One of my colleagues, Aswi, is on this call as well. With this program, we're replicating it in districts and in circuits within Limpopo, the Northwest, and the Northern Cape. And we're doing that with a new funder with the Anglo-American South African group. So we're working with Platinum, De Beers, and Kumba to roll out this program to a number of schools within the operations. So let's talk about it, because we continue to work with WordWorks is our key partner in those provinces, and we can catch up with you and also see where you're situated and see if there's an opportunity for you to tap into one of those circuits that we're already servicing. The difference with the Anglo program is that we're working within a dedicated number of schools and not provincial-wide at this point, but that is, of course, the intention in terms of speaking to other funders going forward. But just maybe post your email address in the chat and we'll catch up, Precious, and take it from there.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I'm sure, Precious, don't forget, send your details or put your details in the chat, and we'll definitely put you in contact with Aswi and the likes. I'm going to allow one more question. Mamuso from WordWorks, you are more than welcome to come in and then pose your question, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi there, Ash. You're looking all dapper there. Thanks, everyone. Like my team members have mentioned in the chat, it's really been fantastic a learning opportunity for us to be part of this initiative. And like Natalie has said, also maybe excitedly going into maybe other provinces and maybe as specific donors. So Ashley, and I thought Dinah or Ntombigaise would have really mentioned something which is close to my heart within the Grade R initiative, the research and development work that's been happening this year for the special needs schools. I mean, it's an area when we are asked that you work with, led by GDE in this initiative in ordinary public schools. What about the special needs schools? So it's really exciting to know that important development and research work has been undertaken this year, setting the ground for the special needs in terms of them being brought into the fold in this initiative in the future. I just thought maybe it's important to highlight that. Thanks.
That is an extremely important question that Mamus was asking. Yes, we are busy with the special needs component of the program, but I'm going to ask Dinah to give us a nice feedback. Bearing in mind, colleagues, that we only have 1 more minute left. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamuso, for bringing that up. The reason why we haven't dealt much on the special needs is because we have not yet started with the actual implementation of that part of the component, of that part of the project. But yes, in the initial design, we had the special need as one of the targeted groups that will be focusing on, even though the scope was not yet, the scope was not as extensive as in the public ordinary schools. So we are still looking at that also. So the research has been done, yes, but we felt that it's something that we can share later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dinah. Colleagues, in the room, I'm going to give one last round of questions only in the room. Anybody here? Like Vimesh is saying in Jam Ellie, 5432, your time is up. There we go. So colleagues, please allow me to say thank you to you online, to us in the room, for engaging and for being present with us today as the Gr R Maths and Language Improvement Program implementing partners, funders, and managing agent. We appreciate all the engagements, like I said, and we look forward to session 2, where we will be talking in depth about monitoring and evaluation only. It is, and the findings, it is quite exciting to have heard some of the findings, and we would like to share that with you, but we will be in contact with all of you for session number 2. Knowledge Manager, Major, thank you for running with us. And then to my project manager, Dinah, thank you for allowing me to run with this also. And then Natalie, as an overarching angel on this program, thank you so much. We appreciate your assistance. Yes, you may fly, ma'am. And then again, to our colleagues at GDE, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you for allowing us to implement this program with our implementing partners and funders as it should be, and then for always assisting. And as Dinah said, you guys are available 24/7. And then again, lastly, our watchdogs, Kalelo. Thank you for keeping us intact and keeping us abreast of what is happening out in the field. Colleagues, have a beautiful day further on. Have a blessed week further on. And we'll see you later after we have finished the muffins inside the office. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye, colleagues.
Thank
Ciao.
you so much, Ashley.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much
Thank
to
you.
Jet.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Madam Ashley.
Shema.